You're watching Examples Chernobyl.
Nearly Christmas Day, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello? Hey, Junior, Merry Christmas!
Hello, I am Andy. Welcome back to Christmas 2022. Before you start, I would like to say this. We're going to stay tuned for some more facts and stories right after this reaction video. But in the meantime, let's begin with the Muppet Christmas Carol 1993 VHS. So without further ado, let's hit back for the throwbacks. I want to show you. Yeah, this is like a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie. But I said, let's go.
Over the years, Walt Disney Studios
Disney
has taken us on unforgettable journeys. From Under the Sea and The Little Mermaid to an enchanted castle in Beauty and the Beast and into a whole new world with Aladdin.
We'll say
For
hello
the summer of 1994, Disney
to the
animators
Lion
will take
King.
you deep into the wilds of Africa for Disney's 30-second all-new full-length animated feature, The Lion King. It's an extraordinary original story about a heroic young cub
that's
named
a lot of
Simba,
stories out
destined to
there.
become king of the jungle.
Ooh, the lion. Still got the king wax.
To create a cast of realistic animal characters, Disney's artists drew inspiration for their work by sketching and studying the real thing. Some of their subjects were even invited right into the studio. With 7 original
lion?
songs by pop superstar Elton John and
Go
Aladdin's
get it.
Academy Award-winning lyricist Tim Rice, The Lion King will take you on a journey to a
Let's
dazzling new
roll.
world of adventure.
Like a lion. All over the world, fellas. Well, that's the circle of life from The Lion King. The Lion King. Coming summer to 1994 from Walt Disney Pictures.
Now available from Jim Henson Video. Hollywood, the pot of gold at the rainbow's end.
Ooh, the Muppet.
Hey, we're all going to Hollywood. You want to come with us?
Hollywood!
It's time to grab your fag, stick out your thumb,
Come in.
and hit your ride
It's
for
a
the
frog
adventure
for
of
the
your
Muppet.
life. It's Jim Henson's The Muppet Movie.
Moving right along. Footloose and fancy free. You know, I hear this movie is dynamite.
It's a story of the open
Still gotta
road,
love the
where
Muppet.
hopeful hitchhikers come by a
Oh,
carload.
it's the bird.
No thanks. I'm on my way to New York City to try to break into public television.
Public
The
television.
wheel.
Like from PBS.
A Studebaker.
Kermit guiding the way.
Turn left if you come to a fork in the road. Fork in the road.
Fork in the road.
And a roadside distraction named Miss Piggy. Hogging the spotlight.
Ooh, that's a hog and it's wild. You go get it.
It's all aboard as the Muppets hit the jackpot.
Here's a standard rich and famous contract with Kermit the Frog and Company.
And Hollywood stars get into the act. Milton Berle, Richard Pryor, Bob Hope, Steve Martin, and others.
Would you taste it for us, please?
Yep, that's the others. Still exactly right.
And now, Hollywood will never be the same.
Stand by. Here we go.
Now you can own the Muppet movie on video cassette.
Give me a giggles.
Smile.
A spectacular motion picture event. The one movie that's
Another
got it
Muppet
all.
movie.
The Great
Muppet Caper.
Let's go for it.
It's the story of a daring jewel heist. The target, Diana Rigg, as wealthy Lady Holiday.
I feel as if thieves were breathing down my neck.
Thieves aren't breathing down here.
Ooh,
The
still
culprit,
loving.
Charles Grodin, as her dastardly brother.
Why are you doing this? Because I'm
Still got a stolen
The prime
treasure.
suspect,
That's a mystery. Like Most Wanted. Oh no.
now it's up to Kermit the Frog.
We're about to embark on a potentially dangerous mission.
Oops.
Fozzie Bear.
We don't want the bad guys to win.
The Great Gonzo.
Planning to steal the baseball diamond.
Ooh, is that an alien?
And a heroic band of party animals
We're gonna have to catch those thieves red-handed.
What color are their hands now?
to save the day.
There could be physical violence.
Still going.
There's the slightest chance that somebody might even get killed.
I'm out. I got a dental appointment.
It's Muppet action
Oh.
adventure like you've never seen
That's a
before.
funny one.
It is rather breathtaking, isn't it?
All wrapped up in the wildest Muppet motion picture ever.
You want excitement?
So at
Now
the
you can own
service,
the Great
Muppet
Muppet Caper
Caper.
on video cassette.
Need I say more?
And now, our feature presentation.
Walt Disney Pictures. Ooh, the logo of the Jim Henson Productions. Hurry! Well, and that's all it is.
Put on your ugliest holiday sweater because we've got 5 crazy, cool, epic, awesome, funny, weird, wild, unexpected, true facts about Christmas. Number 5. Everyone's favorite Christmas treat, the candy cane. According to folklore, candy canes were invented way back in 1670 by the choir master at Cologne Cathedral in Germany. He was looking for a way to quiet down his noisy choir singers as they practiced for the Christmas Eve service. So the choir master went to the local candy maker and asked for some sweets to give the kids. In order to justify giving a large group of kids candy during a church service, he asked the candy maker to add the bend at the top of the sticks so that they would look like a shepherd's staff. Pretty smart way to make a candy look religious. But whether or not this tale is true, the candy cane has been associated with Christmas time since at least the late 1800s, when candy canes started to be hung on Christmas trees. And when candy canes were first mass-produced in the early 1900s, each and every candy cane had to be bent by hand. And on top of that, about 20% of all the sticks would break while being bent. So in 1957, the Keller machine was invented to automatically bend the candy into its iconic shape. Now there's more candy canes than we could ever eat! Ooh, trust me, I tried. Number 4. Traditional Christmas ghost stories! That's right, many of our modern Christmas traditions come from Victorian England, but one of the most interesting ones is almost entirely forgotten. December 25th was originally chosen to be the date of the Christmas holiday because of its association with the winter solstice, aka the longest night of the whole year. And since there was so much darkness, the night was considered to be the most haunted of the year, too. On Christmas Eve, ghosts had lots of time to walk the earth and finish unsettled business. Hence all the ghosts in Charles Dickens' classic novel, A Christmas Carol. So of all the Christmas traditions that survived through the generations, the Victorian custom of telling blood-curdling ghost stories around the fire on Christmas Eve has been almost completely forgotten. Probably because no one wants to mix wholesome family fun with spooky ghosts and ghouls. Number 3, Santa's Jolly Helpers. I'm talking about those guys you see in stores and malls taking pictures and asking kids what they want for Christmas. Sure, we all know these guys aren't the real Santa, but that doesn't mean the job's easy. Every winter, approximately 20,000 Rent-A-Santas are deployed across the United States. The men in red undergo vigorous training on how to keep a holly jolly attitude while under the pressure of having crying kid after crying kid sit on their lap. They also receive plenty of good practical advice, like not accepting money from parents while children are looking, and avoiding smelly foods like garlic, onions, or beans. Which is some good advice you probably would never think of until you were sitting on Santa's lap while he has onion breath. Ew. Number 2, the most iconic Christmas decoration, the Christmas tree. It's impossible to picture the Christmas season without a beautiful tree covered in lights and ornaments, glistening in the moonlight. Oh, it just gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling all over. But it's not an easy process to go from a little seed to a fully grown tree in your living room. It takes about 15 years for a tree to grow big enough to be sold as a Christmas tree in one of the 21,000 Christmas tree farms around the U.S. Each year, nearly 45 million Christmas trees are planted, and approximately 35 million are sold. Now that's a lot of green, and it's greener than you might think, in fact. That's because an artificial tree would have to be reused for more than 20 years to be quote-unquote greener than buying a fresh-cut tree every year. And if that's not environmentally conscious enough for you, then try donating your tree to a zoo once the holiday season ends. Some zoos will accept donated trees as food or scratch poles for the animals. That way, you can give one last Christmas gift to an animal in need. Oh. And finally, our number 1 merry fact. Different Christmas traditions from all around the world! Sure, go most places in late December and you're bound to see lights, trees, gift, and tons of red and green. But depending on what country you're in, you might also see festivities that seem totally foreign to you. For instance, in Newfoundland, Canada, you might see people called mummers, who dress up in disguise and go house to house dancing and playing music while the homeowner tries to figure out who's behind the disguise. Sounds fun. Until you get your teacher. The people of Halifax, Nova Scotia have donated a giant Christmas tree to the city of Boston for over 40 years as a thank you for their support after a huge explosion there in 1917. The people of Oslo, Norway are in the giving spirit as well. They donate a huge Christmas tree to the city of London each year in gratitude for England's assistance during World War II. Since 1960, about half of the Swedish population sits down to watch a Donald Duck Christmas special every Christmas Eve. And in Poland, spiders and spider webs are common Christmas tree decorations. In fact, Polish people consider spiders to be symbols of goodness and prosperity at Christmas time. And possibly the most random Christmas tradition of all? In Japan, many families eat at KFC for Christmas dinner, thanks to a successful marketing campaign by the chicken giant over 40 years ago. KFC is so popular for Christmas dinner that customers need to place their orders 2 months in advance. Now, that's just finger-licking weird.
Thanks for watching.
Merry Christmas from the last.
Happy holidays!
Hey guys, and welcome back to the 12 Days of Christmas. Today we are on number 5, and we will be reading The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried out. I ran up to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" "Where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." I took his outstretched hand and he pulled me aboard. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Soon there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through the cold, dark forest, where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon, but the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster.
Right there is the train.
The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. "There," said the conductor, "is the North Pole." The North Pole? It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first we saw no elves. "They are gathering at the center of the city," the conductor told us. "That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas." "Who receives the first gift?" we all asked. The conductor answered, "He will choose one of you." "Look," shouted one of the children, "the elves!" Outside, we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no farther, we stopped and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and, pointing to me, said, "Let's have this fellow here." He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee and he asked, "Now, what would you like for Christmas?" I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine, but the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood, holding the bell high above him, and called out, "The first gift of Christmas!" A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared in the cold, dark, polar sky. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see my bell. I reached into my pocket but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. "Let's hurry outside and look for it," one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket." Signed, Mr. C. I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I had shaken the bell, my parents had not heard a sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe. And that is the end. Thanks for watching. Bye.